Welcome to the Short Rod Show. You got Ben here.
And you got Brett.
Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We're on our 5th episode here. Recording this today. We've had just so much good feedback so far in interacting with everyone online, seeing our download count go up every day just by leaps and bounds. So we really appreciate you guys listening in. I think we're doing a little bit better each time, and we're having a good time doing it.
Yeah, it's been really exciting, especially keeping up and seeing as the download number climbs. So if you haven't kept up, we dropped those first 4 episodes kind of as a bundle together just to kind of get people listening to it. So this episode number 5 is actually kind of more of a live episode where we hopefully we'll be dropping that one this week, and we'll continue on a weekly basis from here on out.
Yeah, what are we talking about today, Brett? What's our topics?
Yeah, so today it's raining, and the ice is going to start getting pretty sketchy if you had any ice that you could get out onto. So we're going to touch on ice safety, talk a little bit about our experiences and the safety equipment we carry with us. And then also ice season's coming up real quick here in central Iowa, so we want to talk about some things that we still need to get ready for, and a few things that we've prepped for already this past week.
Awesome. That sounds good. Coming up after the break on the Short Rod Show. Hey there, guys. If you've been over to our website lately over at shortrodshow.com and like what you see, you should get in touch with our partners over at Evergrow Marketing. They're a digital marketing agency that works primarily with landscape and lawn care businesses, but they also work with guys like us. They can help your business show up on Google and also get you a lot more customers through their unique digital marketing methods. Reach out to them over at evergrowmarketing.com and make sure you mention that Ben and Brett sent you from the Short Rod Show podcast to get an additional 10% off your first bill.
Ben and I would really like to thank our listeners. Since we've aired this podcast, we've gotten an unbelievable fan response. We just want to remind you guys where you can reach us at shortrodshow.com. You can feel free to email us or follow our newsletter. You can also find us on any of your podcasting platforms, Apple Podcast, Podbean, Stitcher, and Spotify. Also follow us on Facebook, The Short Rod Show, and anytime you see those 5 little stars, please hit number 5.
Welcome back to the Short Rod Show. Thanks for following along with us through the break. We're talking ice safety today. So it's always something that is at the top of everyone's mind as we go through on early ice, especially seeing every year just news stories of people falling through the ice, whether they're out there just by themselves or maybe they're on a quad or a snowmobile early ice, and then following through the rest of the season, guys falling through with pickups and wheelhouses and just all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah. Every year it seems like you hear somebody, especially up on Clear Lake, that somebody's driving on the ice before a lot of people really feel like it's safe, and everyone's kind of like, oh, that's kind of makes it cringe a little bit.
Oh,
but,
yeah. Yep.
I mean, all you can do is educate. You can't do much more than that. The truck's already out there.
Yeah, people are going to do what they want to do, but hopefully our listeners aren't going to be those people that are falling through the ice, especially after listening to our episode today where we just want to bring some personal experience along to the ice safety discussion. You know, a lot of times it's pretty cut and dried from the DNR sources, which are really good, but just throwing in some personal experience I think is important as well.
So Ben, what out of all your ice safety repertoire, what is your number one piece of equipment that you never leave home with?
The number one thing now would be a spud bar. And if you guys don't know what a spud bar is, do some searching around on Google or check out a couple of the different products. Basically, it's a big pry bar, a heavy metal bar that's got a chisel point on it. And you're going to use that as we're going out early ice. You're going to be stabbing as you go, checking the ice depth as you walk out on a lake. It's really important to check it as you go and not just assume that it's, okay, a couple stabs right along the shore and you think you're good, and you take 4 or 5 more steps, you get out on the lake a little bit further, and you're not. Ice conditions, as everyone knows, they can change all over the lake. It can be all over the board. So that spud bar, we got those a couple years ago. That was a huge deal that now I will never go out without one.
Yeah, and I mean, I use it more. Mine, I take it every time, and I use it as a walking stick more than anything. And I've gotten in the practice of making sure that I throw it out in front of me, where when I first had it, you're just kind of walking along and you're just kind of stepping with it.
Yep.
Where if it's thin and you step with it, your foot's stepping right in it. But make sure you kind of throw it out in front of you. And I've had that before where I'm walking and it's fine. I throw it out in front of me and all of a sudden it goes through.
Yep.
There's a reason. And then that's where that strap comes in handy. A lot of them come with a strap at the top. Wrap that around your wrist because if you do go through unexpectedly, a lot of times that bar is going to fall out of your hand. You got gloves on, you're cold, you're not really anticipating on it going through, but then it does. And that rope kind of holds.
Yep.
Or that strap kind of holds it on your wrist.
Yep, absolutely. And there's lots of different options out there. We have the cheaper option. I think it's just we're talking about that the other day, just the Mills Fleet Farm special, maybe $15.
It's Fleet Farm Orange.
It's Fleet Farm Orange. It's got a nice chisel point on it, but it's a pretty solid bar. And just using that as a walking stick. That's for sure my number one ice safety tip. And get to know your spud bar. If your spud bar is really light, maybe it takes you 4 or 5 hits to get through 2 inches of ice that is not safe. Whereas a heavy bar, you might punch through on that first stab.
And depending, sometimes they got different tips. I've seen some of them that almost have 2 tips. Ours just has a kind of a stair step type of a tip, so it's only got one main point tip.
Yep.
So I've seen different ones, and I've seen guys make their own. You can weld up a piece of heavy 1/2-inch rebar and just a kind of a spade point on the end, and I mean you got yourself a spud bar. So there's really a lot of options, and there's really, in my thought and experience, there's not really any excuse not to carry that spud bar with you at least.
Yep, absolutely.
Because out of all the equipment we'll talk to today, that's really the only one that's keeping you out of the water. All these other ones that we'll talk about are options once you're in the water. And so to me, that's why I agree with Ben that this is the number one piece of equipment.
And what I did to mine just to modify a little bit is kind of cool, just to do a scale in a paint marker on the side. So you can go from the chisel tip at the bottom. Once you get through the ice, or you're punching a hole, or you're spud bar in a hole, you can grab the lip of the ice and lift up and see your ice level marked in inches. So you can use that to measure ice, measure fish. It's just really handy to say, okay, I know I'm on 4 inches of clear ice, or I'm on 5 inches of cloudy ice.
Well, what's the difference? Why does that matter?
Well, that's a good question. So really, in all cases, the strongest ice is always the clear ice.
Clear ice, black
crystal
ice.
Clear ice, black ice. You can see right through. That's always the strongest ice. Once you start getting into ice that's got maybe some bubbles in it, some cloudiness to it, it's not as strong.
And that occurs a lot of times when you get a lot of freeze thaw. So I'd imagine the ice we have right now, realistically, it'll probably melt off. But if it didn't melt off, the way we're getting rain right now, that's going to make cloudy ice because you got one layer of ice. You're going to get some water on top of it, and then that'll refreeze, and then you get air in there, and then that's what makes it cloudy. Another thing that I always try to watch out for is don't walk on if there's a lot of snow drifts or something on the ice. It's still fairly early ice, so you got some pretty clear ice or glare ice, but there's a lot of snow drifts. Walk around those snow drifts because a lot of times that snow will insulate the ice, and under those drifts, the ice could be quite a bit thinner than the ice that's exposed to the open air.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And I didn't used to do that because it used to kind of, it kind of makes you clench up when you're walking through super clear ice and you're just like, oh gosh. When in reality, that's the best ice. But when I was younger, I used to almost try to walk on that snowdrift ice just because, or that cloudy ice because I felt like I had a floor underneath of me.
Freaks you out otherwise.
And I didn't feel like I was just walking on water, and that kind of made you clench up a little bit.
And clear ice can be really deceiving too. If you're looking at ice and it's super clear, it could be 2 inches deep, it could be 10 inches deep, and it's really hard to tell. So that's where that spud bar comes in handy. 2-3 hits, solid hits, hard hits into the ice. You can start to feel a little more comfortable with going out on that ice. But what's the next thing that you'd recommend, Brett?
My number 2 is definitely the ice spikes around your neck. I mean, they're super cheap, especially for the amount of safety that they provide and the cost. I mean, I think I picked up their Fraybill set for like $2 or $3. And they just clip around your neck. Sometimes a little coily thing will pinch my neck hairs a little bit, but otherwise they work out pretty well. And they're really you don't really even notice them once they're on, and just make it a habit of throwing them on.
And that's for if you fall in. That's going to be what's going to help you get back out, claw your way back out, stab them into the ice, and pull yourself out.
Because if you're on glare ice and you fall in and you get water on top of the ice, we've all seen it where the the ice gets super slick if there's water on top
Yep.
of it. So you could just imagine when you're in the water trying to climb back out, and now all of a sudden that ice is just extremely slippery because you got water on top of it.
Yep.
Those picks are really going to be the only way you can get out by yourself.
Yep. And disclaimer, we haven't fallen through the ice.
No, thank goodness.
We've managed this far to avoid going in the water, which is really good. But some of you guys, I'm sure, have gone through, and that's a pretty tough experience.
I mean, looking back in my experience of ice fishing, I'm probably blessed to not have fallen through
Absolutely.
the ice because
Yep.
we'll get into some of that after we talk about the safety stuff.
Yep. The next thing, definitely just getting around on the ice that helps keep you from falling down, hurting yourself, would be some ice cleats.
Yep. I'd say that's got to be number one injury is people slipping in,
Yep.
bruising a hip or an elbow or breaking a forearm or that's. I mean, I do it every year. Even when I have the cleats on, I'll still fall sometimes.
But every year we see people out there just skating around, barely getting out, running from hole to hole and just almost biffing it every time.
Well, and it makes it just so much easier getting around on the ice having those cleats because you can actually get traction, especially when you're pulling huts or you're doing anything like that. You're not slipping and falling and that sort of deal. And it never fails that you're going to slip and fall when there is a group of people around you.
Yep.
And they're going to laugh at you every single time. I do it.
You don't
when I
wanna
see
be that
people
guy.
fall, I'm like, oh, I hope it's okay. Then you see him get up and then you laugh at him. You're like, all right, yeah, he's okay enough.
Yep. Yeah, ice is pretty hard to fall on, so that's definitely a good thing to have.
Yep.
Talking recovery methods too, having a set of rope.
Yep.
A
The
good
length
throw
of rope. It's so cheap.
Yep.
Such something so easy to keep. I mean, I see you got a length of rope right there in your pocket of the otter. A couple bucks. Everybody's got a piece of rope, paracord, really anything, 10, 15, 20 foot, just to keep. And this is one of my biggest fears is I'm going to be out there, you see someone go in the water, and you have no safe way of helping them.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a dreadful feeling. So if you just have a little length of rope, you can at least toss it out to them, help them out.
And the ice around them, if someone breaks through, the ice around them is sketchy. You don't want to be out there trying to walk up to them and have you fall in as well.
Yeah,
trying to
then that's a
rescue
double bad situation.
them. Yep. So having a throw rope. Talk a little bit about your throw rope setup this year.
Yeah, so my plan this year is to upgrade my Eskimo a little bit. And what I want to do is, so I usually carry just a piece of nylon throw rope with me anyways, but sometimes it gets forgotten or it gets misplaced or you take it out while you're cleaning and you forget to put it back in and then you're like, oh shit, I forgot to put that back in. So what I want to do this year is, right now my Eskimo just has 2 holes in the sled and you know how they come from the factory, they're tied knots on the end of the ropes.
Yep.
They go through and you pull them. Well, my plan is now is to take a little bit of 1x something, put that on the back end and run some eye bolts through the front and then carabiner my pull rope through that. That way I make sure I always have it because I'm not going out on the ice without a pull rope. Otherwise I can't pull my sled out there. And then if I do see someone in trouble, I got those carabiners. I can clip them off. I can either throw it out there to them. And then what I think will work out really well is then they can wrap that around themselves, wrap it underneath their shoulders, carabine it together. That way, if you've ever been real cold, you don't have a lot of strength or grip in your hands anymore or your arms. If you start to lose some of that ambidextry or whatever that word is.
Yeah. We know what you mean.
It provides that added bit that we can really start pulling on it again. So that's my plan anyways to get that set up here in the future.
Awesome. That'll be good. Yeah, just having an extra length of rope on your sled to pull anyway is just a good idea.
Yeah.
Versus the stock rope that they give you, which is like a little tiny paracord.
Piece of
basically.
10-foot cord, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get you anywhere. It cuts into your hand while you're pulling it out there.
Yep, that's pretty difficult to use.
But yeah. So, and then the next cheapest option to carry with you out on the ice is a life jacket. Mm-hmm. And then right along with life jackets, then you get into float suits and that sort of stuff. But with the life jacket, you can throw it to someone.
Yep.
You can use it. You can use it for your dog. If you take your dog out with you, they can sit on it to keep them off the ice. Your kid can sit on it. There's just a lot of uses and handy bits to have that life jacket. Or I see a lot of people use it when they kneel down on the ice.
An extra pad.
Yep, an extra pad. So it's just a handy piece of gear to have out there with you. Or one of those the square pieces. Those square
Yep. The life jacket throw.
the life throw deal that you have to
throws.
have in every boat.
Yep.
So, yeah, those things work well. Or you can tie your rope onto it when you toss it to the person, give it a little bit of weight so you can have some
Cool.
direction to throw it. And then, yeah, float suits. What do you run for a float suit, Ben? I know you're
I'm
on
I'm
it.
big on the float suit. It was a really cool piece of technology that came out maybe, I know in the boating world they've been around for a while, but to have a specific ice fishing floating suit is pretty cool. And Stryker was one of the first ones that came out with that. I remember seeing that at the Hanks Ice Show.
Yep.
Probably 6-8 years ago when they came out, and they're very expensive at the time. I mean, very low quantity. Hardly anyone had them. And now they're a lot more mainstream. So, you can go to Shields and find sales on them. You can find sales
them for
online.
$100.
Yep. But just having some type of flotation suit is just some extra peace of mind.
Yep.
They claim that it'll help hold your head up above water, whether you're just wearing the bibs or the bibs and the jacket. But you normally have one or the other or both on at all times when you're out on the ice. So it's some added peace of mind. I run the Predator suit around in central Iowa here. It's plenty warm. I've never had a time where I'm cold in the suit. It's pretty impressive the amount of insulation they have in there to keep you out of the elements, besides just being a nice added safety feature. So
and I just have the bibs. I've got a Freybill, what are those, the iFloat bib or whatever. They're all black. They've got some reflecting on them and stuff. I haven't tested them. Obviously I've never been in the water yet. We talked about last year trying them out in the summertime, but we never did get in.
Yeah, I don't want to get out there now.
But yeah, just that added bit of peace of mind. I mean, don't push the limits, but it just gives you a little bit of added bit of safety. And then I don't have the jacket. I just run my normal duck hunting jacket. And both of those, plenty warm. I've never had an instance. I've been out sitting on a bucket at -2 degrees, and as long as you're bundled up, I've never had an instance where I felt like I was getting cold. My toes get a little cold, but that's just because I buy cheap boots. But
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's a whole different deal.
Let's talk a little bit about what we consider to be safe ice. What are some of the different ranges of ice depth, Brett, that you're comfortable going out on?
Usually I get early ice. You get excited, you get the itch, and you hear about all these people going out real early, and then there's all the other folks that are saying, "Oh, you can't fix stupid. Don't be out there. Don't be doing this and that." And it really just comes down to what your safety level and comfort level is. And to me, I'm not all that worried about how thick the ice is, and that's just through experience of having my spud bar, is if I can give that ice 2 real good hard hits and I don't go through, I feel very comfortable being out on that ice. And that's typically 3 inches. Is if I hit it 2 times real hard and I don't go through, that third time it'll go through, and that's typically about 3 inches.
Yep.
And that's about my comfort level.
That's a good comfort level for me too.
Yep.
But like you said, having that spud bar there to verify,
because ice conditions change throughout the whole lake.
Yep.
I mean, even these little ponds around Ankeny, especially around the shorelines, they get eaten up and come in and out. Central Iowa, we get a lot of freeze thaw. It's not like the neighbors to the north where it's just once it's cold forever. But I mean, there'll be times in December. Well, this past year where all the lakes opened up on the first week of January, and you had to kind of wait it out, and then all of a sudden you started getting decent ice, and then you had some of that old ice that was real good looking ice, real thick ice, and then you had some of that new ice that was still only a couple inches thick, but it was good clear ice, luckily. But yeah, you got to check conditions the whole way across, especially as the season goes on. Everyone focuses on ice safety here early in the year, but it's just as important continuing into the year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's good. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about ice safety with us. Maybe there's some tips or tricks that you didn't know before, or if you're one of those guys that's trying to get out there and beat the rush, get that first Facebook post of being out on first ice. I hope you're out there using our tips and using a spud bar.
Get that first 8-inch crappie posted on Facebook.
Absolutely. The decoy crappie.
The decoy crappie. Yeah, go get that
that's
one.
all you catch. But yeah, and another thing too is just take a buddy with you whenever possible.
Yeah.
If you're out on the ice by yourself, it's really hard to self-rescue yourself and get out. If you have a buddy with you that can throw you a rope or throw you a life jacket, just toss you a line and help pull you out of the water and get you somewhere warm right away.
Yep.
That's huge.
So Ben, how long ago your experience with ice safety, so when did you really start getting into ice safety? When did you really start being more conscious of it, I guess?
Well, when you're young and dumb, getting out there first ice is critical. and just being the first one out there
Yeah.
trumps everything else. And that's a dumb way to think about it, basically. I've gotten a lot better as the years go by, as we get a little bit older, and
Well, you start to realize your own mortality there a little bit. You're
Yeah.
not invincible after
exactly.
a certain point.
So within the last 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
definitely up the game on the different technologies and just tools and awareness, and also just experience. So if you're a first-time ice fisherman, don't go out there by yourself on early ice,
Yep.
without the right equipment. Get on Facebook, put a post out there to see if someone will take you out. Geez, email us if you're around the Ankeny area. We'll take you out and show you what you need to know, and just have at least someone with a little bit of know-how. Because if you're out there by yourself, you can get into a lot of trouble.
Yep. If you message us
quick.
on Facebook, bring some Miller Lights. You don't
Yeah,
need to bring
exactly.
anything else. We got everything.
We have
We got
everything
all the
else
gear
you
after
need.
that. But I guess my experience with it a little bit, when you're young, you're kind of ignorant and dumb, and you don't really – safety's not exactly the first thing on my mind. I've got $30, and I need to put that towards fishing gear rather than picks and a spud bar.
Yep.
So, I've been fishing since I was probably ice fishing since I was at least 14, and it's really probably only been in the last 5 or 6 years that I really started making sure that I had that safety equipment. Before, when we were younger, a couple of us would get together in high school, and 3 of us would get together, lock shoulders, and we'd just jump on the ice, and we're like, well, if it holds us, it'll hold us. We'd go in a known area. We're fishing ponds that we fish all year long.
Sure.
So we'd go in a known area that we know is only knee deep, which still the concept is dumb. We're willing to take that chance that we'll fall through just in shallow water. You'll still be cold as hell. But, we just kind of lock hands and jump up on it and make sure it would hold us. Otherwise, we just drill holes on our way out there.
Yeah.
And that gives you an idea what the thickness of the ice is, but you're still standing next to that hole while you're digging it. And if it is sketchy and you start rustling around, you get somebody that comes past you,
Sure.
fall right through. You get a little extra 2 weight on there and you go right through.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to a little bit of ice season prep, some updates on what we've been working on this week. I know it's been a busy week. We've had a lot of fun getting the podcast up and running and all the things that come along with that. But we've also been able to get a few ice fishing items done.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Talk
exciting.
about the quad.
Really upped our game this year.
Yeah, before we were always
pretty exciting.
we were always pulling everything out by hand. We were
Yep.
doing everything.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time dragging the otter around out on the ice, which I have an Otter Pro XT Lodge, which is not their biggest, but their second biggest ice fishing shelter. And that gets pretty heavy pulling out. And this year was lucky enough to be talking with my grandpa, and he's letting Brett and I borrow the use of his 1982 Suzuki Quad Runner. It's a LT 125, so just a little, about 250-pound unit,
Yeah.
2-wheel drive only, just real light, really just perfect for going out on any of the ice that we're going to encounter.
I'm excited to run that thing.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Get the homemade windshield on there.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't see that kind of fabrication.
Yeah, if anyone's
anymore.
running around the Ankeny area, you'll see us coming from a mile away. We got it test fit yesterday.
Yep.
In the black pickup, which is an 8-foot bed, which is good. Definitely got to have that to haul all the gear. But ran the quad up in the front, moved it sideways, and have it at an angle basically to fit. So the front tires are up on the bed rails. Strap that baby down and threw the otter in behind it. Strap that in. So we'll be rolling pretty heavy to.
It's going to look like the Beverly Hillbillies as we
Tournaments.
run to the lake.
Yep.
That's going to be hilarious.
So yeah, you'll see us around coming from a mile away.
Oh, yeah. You'll see that windshield.
Yep.
Fabricated windshield. And I'm a little disappointed that you took the mud flaps off the back, the
Yeah,
pieces of carpet
took the carpet off the
that
back.
were bolted to the back we might end up having to put it back on. You might get too much snow spray off the back tires that it piles up on the back of
true.
the otter.
Depends on how fast we're going. If we're just bombing across Clear
Oh,
Lake,
we're going to be
then-
bombing.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go.
Big
100
creek. Absolutely.
Third gear, maxed out
Yep.
everywhere we go. That's what you got to do, right?
But we got her all tuned up. We spent spent a night this week going through changing the oil in it, spark plug, getting it ready for the season. Test driving it a little bit around the block.
First
and-
pull, that sucker, first
Yep.
pull every time. It amazes me.
It's a
It was
sweet machine.
it was pretty cold that first day we started it up,
Yep.
and first pull popped right off.
No problems. It's a cool machine.
Pull start. Now we don't have to rely on a battery.
But otherwise, we've gotten the otter out. We're actually taping this episode inside the otter, so hopefully that sounds okay to you guys. That's going to be kind of our go-to area to record in from now on. Hopefully, we'll be out on the ice and actually recording as we're ice fishing.
I'm pretty excited about the mobile setup we got on. If you're curious about what it looks like, check out our Facebook page, Short Rod Show. It'll be our cover photo.
Yep.
I'm pretty excited for this. Yeah.
Our setup
mobile
is
setup.
Yeah, definitely improved.
Powering it off the DeWalt battery.
Everything runs off DeWalt here at the Short Rod Show.
Yeah. Again, if DeWalt is listening, we could use a sponsorship.
Absolutely. We have a lot of DeWalt stuff. But really got the otter set up this year. Had it all cleaned out. Basically stored it pretty well over the summer months in the storage unit, and just packed the thing full of dryer sheets. So if you guys haven't used that trick before, I saw that a couple years ago on a forum somewhere, and just talking how to keep critters and things out of your ice shelter. Really just taken new dryer sheets, packing them in everywhere.
Well, that's the deal. I mean, you spend so much money on these shelters. I mean, mine is a kind of a base model shelter, and it was still $400. You hate to put it away, and then you get it back out, and the mice have been using it as a playground for the last 5 months.
Absolutely, that would
so anything. An ounce of prevention goes a long ways with keeping the mice out of your canvas.
Yep.
What I do with mine is I hoist it up into my garage. Did the same deal with the dryer sheets, and then it smells downy fresh when you open it back up that next year. But used a kayak hoist and hoisted it up into the rafters, and so hopefully when I get her back down here, maybe this week or next, we'll get working on putting that new rope system on there.
Get the rope on there.
New pull rope system on there, and then we'll be good to go, ready for first ice.
Yeah, excited to try out our new setup this year. We've basically just been perfecting it. It feels like the last probably 3 years.
Yep.
Just seeing what works best for us to fish out of, and really between Brett and I, we spend almost equal time fishing out of either my setup or his.
Yep.
So we have a lot of kind of mobile setups, like backpacks to haul gear in that we can either, hey, we're fishing out of yours tonight. I'll grab, a couple key items and away we go.
Well, now we got to find a spot for this podcast equipment.
Yeah. We got to try test fit that in the Eskimo. It's pretty cool setup. So
I don't know if I have much more to add, Ben.
Wow, that's a pretty good episode then.
Yeah.
I think we'll call it a wrap. So if you guys haven't been, please go over to our website at shortrodshow.com. Check us out there. That's really growing. We have a email list you can get signed up for updates, and we're really trying to promote our podcast and get this out to people to see what they think.
Where can you find us at, Ben?
You can find us all over the internet, as Brett said, all over. We are on Facebook at Short Rod Show. You can go and just search Short Rod Show there. We have a good page set up to follow along with updates. And then we're also on all of your major podcasting platforms. So I know we've gotten a couple questions on how to listen in on if you have an Android device. That'd be Stitcher, Podbean, and also on Spotify now. Yep. But also on Apple Podcasts. That's been really popular.
Yep.
A good way to find us. And like what Brett was saying, we want to try and do episodes every week, get you guys on a good schedule of regularly updated podcasts so you can follow along with us on current ice conditions, just follow along on what we're doing this winter. And we have all intentions. We'll be out on the ice recording just like this with our mobile setup. So it's pretty cool.
That's our intention once ice is ready to roll and we can be out on the ice on a weekly basis, is giving ice condition updates, giving bite updates, and kind of give a general area on what kind of water we're hitting and what fish we're finding.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening in to this episode of
The Short Rod Show.